My name's Helen van Poorten. I am an artist working in the mediums of watercolor and pastel and acrylic on canvas. I've been doing art for most of my adult life in various media. Just recently, because of COVID, I've been working a whole lot more in my studio because we have so much more time, suddenly. We did at least last year. So I actually changed media from mostly watercolor to first pastel, which I had taken up a few years before, but I took some workshops from an artist by the name of Marla and joined her Facebook group and took her classes. She does online workshops and got a little more proficient, a little more comfortable with pastel. I tend to do mostly landscapes, and I tend to walk around the world looking at colors and shadows and the way the light hits, and artists have a tendency to look at the world in a way that other people maybe do not, and we see things and immediately think, oh, I have to paint that. I love the way the light's hitting there, and I love the way that shadows are so dark under that tree, and look at the contrast between the light and the shadow. So, and immediately you want to go paint it. I did, as I said, work in pastels with Marla and joined her groups and spent a lot of time last year during the initial stages of COVID when we were really in lockdown, working with pastels and feeling more comfortable with that. I do also really enjoy doing florals, especially in the summer when my garden's in bloom. So a lot of what I have been doing has been in that theme. Then in the fall last year, I realized Marla also teaches acrylic courses, and I thought it would be wonderful to be able to paint and be able to either hang it unframed or in a frame but without glass. A, we don't have the glare if there's no glass, and B, you don't have the fuss of putting it in a mat and putting glass behind it and creating a frame for it. So just in the last half year, I guess, I've been working in acrylics as well as pastel. And although I love pastel, I'm really getting to the point where I love acrylics now as well. Wonderful for doing clouds. I have one that I did recently, my largest one that I've done so far, 15 by 30, is mostly a cloudscape with a reflection in the marsh. And the wonderful thing about acrylics, which I did not have the pleasure of doing with watercolors, is that you can keep working at it. You can keep adding to it. It dries, you add another layer, and you can literally keep playing with it until you like what you have. That's not the case with pastels. If you put too many layers on, you get mud. And it's not the case with watercolor because you really do need to leave your lights and work towards your darks. And if you made a mistake, it's not easy to fix. You can do it, but it's never quite the same. So I love acrylics now. It's at the moment my favorite medium. Sometimes the themes that I choose are based on travels. My husband and I are RV travelers, and so we've been all over North America, and of course many places we visit, especially in the US, have beautiful, beautiful scenery. One of our favorite locations, and one we've returned to many times, is New Mexico and Arizona. And there is a painting here in the show that I did in acrylics based on a dry riverbed or an arroyo in New Mexico. And there's another one, a watercolor, which is from the Scoodic Peninsula, which is a beautiful coastline of Maine, where we've been several times as well and taken many pictures. I'm trying to think what else there is from, Quebec City, one of my favorite pieces, and I've done it in watercolor, and this time I did it in pastel, is of Quebec City, which of course is in Canada, and we love many places in Canada as well, and I've painted a lot of views from trips around our own country. I have a number of pieces in this show that I refer to as my minis. These ones are, I actually have a couple that are in pastel and a lot in acrylics because they're the ones I did most recently. The reason I have so many little ones is because I challenge myself once in a while to do a painting a day. And I try to do it really consistently for a whole month. I pre-cut, in the case of pastels, a series of 5x7 pieces of paper, and then I picked out a whole lot of photographs that I knew would work well as a painting, and I would give myself a half an hour to do a mini painting. So 30 minutes, 30 paintings for 30 days. And many of them, even though they're done very quickly, actually turn out really, really well, and I end up framing them. On that wall, there is a little mini of the marsh scene. So that was one I did in 30 minutes. Just loved, so I decided, oh, that would be the one that I would do on a larger canvas. So my husband put the cradle on the back. It's called the cradle when you put that wooden box behind the canvas, and made it worth presenting as a finished piece. But then I redid it in the larger format, which obviously took more than 30 minutes.